Election night is finally here, and we've got reporters across North, Central, and Southeast Texas, from the Texas Senate race to the race for Austin City Council and the future of Austin ISD. We have you covered here at KXAN, your local election headquarters. First, we're taking you to the top of the ticket in the race for the White House. Results will start rolling in soon as those polls close across America. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders.
I'm Daniel Marin. We're closely watching the race for president and following the candidates. We have live reports at both the Harris and Trump camps, and we'll begin with D.C. correspondent Hannah Brandt. She is with the Harris campaign. Hannah.
Now that Election Day is finally here, Vice President Kamala Harris is urging people to get out and vote.
I think it's so important. We got so much work to do.
The Harris campaign has spent months pouring time and money into winning over voters, especially in the 7 battleground states expected to decide this election. Today, she took to the phones to do interviews with radio hosts in each of those states, including with the V103 morning show in Atlanta.
We have two very different visions of the future of our nation, and mine is focused on progress. Mine is focused on investing in the ambitions and the aspirations and the dreams of the American people.
And tonight, she'll be watching the results roll in just a couple miles away from the White House at her alma mater, Howard University.
It's full circle for me.
All right, that was Hannah Brandt reporting. Let's go ahead and go on over to the weather now. We will have a live report from West Palm Beach, Florida, focusing on former President Trump's movements in just a bit. But first, some pretty nice weather today.
I know, we got the rain out of here in time for Election Day here today, and we expect perfect weather for those last-minute voters here over the next couple of hours. This is how it looks from our Austonian weather camera, with a completely clear blue sky from downtown Austin looking north. It is a lovely evening, and certainly it's a cooler beginning to your evening as well. Widespread low to mid 70s, even a few spots that have already dropped into the 60s. And look at this temperature change over the last 24 hours. Most of us a good 10 to as much as 16 degrees colder than we were this time last night. Of course, clouds and radar is clear. I do want to update you on the pollen count, though, this evening, because grass is high and trending higher. Mold is medium and trending lower. Fall elm and ragweed are both low here at this hour. So if you're still about to head out here through 7 o'clock, 67 degrees. And then, of course, the rest of the night, the numbers do drop off quite a bit, down in the low 60s under a completely clear sky at 9 and down to 61 here at 11. Coming up in First Warning Weather, tonight should be the coldest night of the season so far. In fact, the coldest night since April. We'll track a chilly beginning to your Wednesday morning ahead of another storm on the way for the end of the week. We'll talk about rainfall amounts and why we're watching the Gulf of Mexico closely.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Let's take a live look now in Travis County. This is where volunteers are hard at work counting ballots. A reminder that you still have some time to get out there and vote. Those polls close across the Lone Star State at 7 tonight. And if you are in the line by 7, the polls will stay open until you cast your ballot.
And just a reminder, if you're planning to vote on Election Day, but you don't have a ride to the polls, you do have some options. Cap Metro is waiving fares on all services, including bike share today. And if you would like to catch a ride with Lyft or Uber, both of those companies will provide some discounts today. And the Capital Area Rural Transportation System, also known as CARTS, also providing free rides to and from the polls on both today, Election Day, and yes, now during Election Day.
Well, taking a quick look now across the nation as long lines continue to build throughout this Election Day, from Hawaii to Chicago and from Cincinnati to New Hampshire. Tens of thousands of voters are lining up to ensure their voices heard in the 2024 general election. As of this morning, the Associated Press's tracking of advanced voting across the country showed more than 82 million ballots had already been cast. A little over 9 million of those were cast in the early voting days across Texas.
All right, let's turn now to the Trump-Vance campaign as we continue to follow the trail this Election Day.
And Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson is at the Trump election night watch party in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good evening to you, Rashad.
All right, Stephen, change it.
Former President Donald Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, each cast their ballots in their home states. Trump in Florida and Vance in Ohio.
I feel very confident. I have felt, we went in with a very big lead today.
One of the great traditions, of course, in American democracy. I, of course, voted for Donald Trump and myself.
Trump says he believes his messaging on the economy and the southern border will help him win over voters. He spent time criticizing the voting process in some states.
And frankly, if they'd used paper ballots, it would be over by 10 o'clock.
This afternoon, Trump stopped by his campaign headquarters to thank volunteers.
There's never been a movement like this, and we're going to turn our country around.
And like many Americans, former President Trump will be watching those results roll in from home before making his way over here to the West Palm Beach Convention Center to address supporters. Jen, Daniel.
Okay, Rashad, walk us through the security protocols at the Trump watch party right now.
Security is certainly top of mind given the threats that former President Trump has faced throughout this campaign. Now, outside of the building, there's tall fences that are put up to sort of serve as a barricade to protect the building. There's tight security for people entering this room, and the Secret Service and local law enforcement are guarding this place pretty tight.
All right, Rashad Hudson, thank you so much. Now the Department of Justice election monitors came to Texas today. Our cameras spotting them in San Marcos this election day.
We knew they would be in Hays County because the agency said it selected the area as one of its 8 Texas counties where monitors would be. We just didn't know exactly where. Our Jayla Washington has been in Hays County for us all day. Jayla, how did we find them and what were they up to?
Hey, Daniel, Jennifer, good evening. Really don't know how we found them, honestly. It took a while, about 4 stops, then finally here outside of the San Marcos Public Library, we were just kind of looking around, seeing who we could see, and my photographer, Kevin, was like, those people with clipboards, they look like they might be our people. So I went up to them, told them we were with the news, and sure enough, they were able to verify that they are the DOJ election monitors. Now, despite the back and forth between the state and the federal government, the DOJ has agreed that all of these monitors are going to be staying outside of polling locations. Now, the 2 monitors who we saw earlier today, as I mentioned, holding those clipboards. They were from the Civil Rights Division, and we saw them taking extensive notes, even taking laps around the parking lot outside of the polling location. They were here for about an hour when we showed up a little after 12:30. We didn't really see them talking to voters much, but they were just more so observing. The DOJ has regularly sent monitors out all across the country during major elections to look for compliance with federal voting rights laws, and this election simply no different. The League
really look out for any violations against the Voting Rights Act, voter intimidation, communities of color areas being impacted more than other polling locations. It's just another level to show that our elections are safe, both at the local, state, and federal level.
Now, again, while this is happening all across the country, the League of Women Voters tells me that the DOJ does get feedback from organizations like theirs before they decide where they're going to send these monitors. I'll have more on that at 6, plus why the League of Women Voters thinks that they chose San Marcos specifically as one of those locations. I'm live in San Marcos tonight. Jayla Washington, back to you.
All right, Jayla, thank you so much. We're following the first exit poll data released tonight. NBC News is reporting data from 10 states, and so far, here's what it says are the most important issues for voters. The top issue, according to this initial poll, is that 35% said the state of the democracy, followed by the economy at 31%, then abortion and immigration. A reminder, this is all preliminary and set to change, but we are continuing to follow all this new data.
Well, now we turn to the race for U.S. Senate, a big one. Incumbent Republican Ted Cruz is hoping to celebrate a victory over Democratic Congressman Colin Allred.
Ryan Chandler joins us now live from Houston. Ryan.
Well, good evening from Houston, Texas, Jennifer and Daniel, where Senator Ted Cruz is hoping to celebrate victory tonight. His campaign, before we know much, is projecting confidence. They think that they are going to pull out a victory after his 2016 re-election, in which he won by fewer than 3 points. They think they're going to outperform his race for re-election back then and get anywhere between 4 and 7 points above Congressman Allred, he's been spending his final pitch of this campaign on a bus tour to some purple suburbs and reliably red areas, driving home the messages of the economy and immigration and border security, which are the two issues that voters consistently tell us are the most important to them here in Texas. So he's expecting a large crowd of supporters here in downtown Houston to hopefully for them ring in a third term in office.
Okay, Brian Chandler, thank you very much for that. Meanwhile, Congressman Allred will be watching the election results in his hometown of Dallas. Allred's campaign has raised more than $68 million since the start of the Senate race. During the debate against Senator Cruz, Allred emphasized his work across political lines, saying that he has been, quote, the most bipartisan Texan in Congress. Allred has served in the U.S. House since 2019. And just a reminder, over on the homepage of KXAN.com, we do have a live Election Day blog. Throughout the night, we're going to be keeping up with all the new election information, including the results of both local and federal elections as the night goes on. 5 Austin City Council seats are up for grabs in this election.
And voters are casting ballots for districts 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And here's a map of where those are. District 2 is southeast Austin. District 4 covers parts of central, north, and northeast Austin. District 7 covers parts of central and north Austin. District 6 is far north Austin, dipping a bit into Williamson County. And District 10 covers northwest Austin. A lot of ground to cover, but KXAN's Brianna Hollis is all over this for us. She joins us live now on the road. Bree.
Hi, so we actually just wrapped up a candidate interview in District 4 and we're driving over to District 6 for another interview right now. As you mentioned, we have Districts 2, 4, 6, 7, and 10 up for election tonight. Districts 2, 4, and 6 all have incumbents running, and historically incumbents typically have a higher chance of winning city council elections. I do want to point something out about District 6. Councilmember Mackenzie Kelly currently holds this seat, and she is the most conservative member of the current Austin City Council. So any power shift here could really impact how these council votes end up moving forward. As for Districts 10 and 7, it's a free-for-all. In District 10, we have 2 candidates running, so we'll likely find out who is going to be the next person representing this district tonight. However, District 7 has a packed field with 6 candidates. We do anticipate a runoff in this election, and that is because candidates need at least 50% of the vote to win. Everyone's watch parties start around 7:30. We're going to be bouncing around between all of those, talking to as many candidates as we can, and we'll have more from them as well as election results for you on KXAN Live later tonight. Jen, Daniel.
All right, Bree, thank you so much. Another important issue Travis County residents are weighing in on: the financial future of one of the largest school districts in Texas.
Austin ISD is asking voters for a tax rate increase. Kelly Wiley joins us now live from the KXAN newsroom. Kelly, why does the school district say they need the money?
Well, on the line here is $41 million in additional revenue for the district each year. You can imagine what a big deal this is for them. Now, what's on the line for homeowners is around $412 more in property taxes each year. But the district says teachers are the ones who are going to benefit from this most if Prop A passes. It means that they could see an increase on most district staff members' paychecks as early as December. So you can imagine what a big deal this is. We talked to voters, some who say this is a slam dunk. They were an absolutely yes, but some say they were deeply conflicted as they entered the booth to weigh in on Prop A.
I like teachers, obviously. I think everybody does. But the state is going to, it's $180 million that it will raise, but the state will take 3/4 of that. Austin ISD is only getting $40 million. I have a general rant, but basically your property taxes are high because the state of Texas takes so much money from AISD. And this is just a further entrenchment of that. So I feel it deeply conflicted, but I ultimately want our teachers to have the money they need.
Teachers need to be paid more, and education is an important part of our future. And as a mom of a child that was just in private daycare for the last 5 years and have felt that massive financial drain on that, I do believe that all families should have access to affordable and quality early childhood education.
Again, if you're heading to the voting booth right now, the breakdown on that, if Prop A passes, is that $41 million would go to the district, but the other $130 million would go to the state to be redistributed among property poor school districts that are struggling also with financial needs. And again, you heard that's a big hang up for some of these voters. But either way, Austin ISD faces a hard financial road ahead. The board president told us in an interview earlier today, either way, if it passes or if it doesn't, they're looking at having to cut more than $90 million from its budget over the next 2 to 3 years. And the board president tells us anything that is not legally required is on the table right now for a potential budget cut.
Right. Kelly Wiley live for us this evening. Thank you so much. A live look now in Williamson County where the ballots are being counted up. A reminder that you still have time to get out there and vote. The polls close across the Lone Star State again at 7 tonight, and we'll be back with more news coming up after the break. All right, joined now by Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon. So watching some of the video from the polling sites, we see people are going up to vote. They have on their sweaters, their hoodies. It's getting cooler. The sun is shining, though. That's good.
We were well in the 80s yesterday, and now temperatures barely reached the 70s. It feels like fall, and it's certainly going to feel like fall tomorrow morning as we start in the 40s in many spots. But a beautiful looking start to your evening in Georgetown from our Ewald Kubota weather camera right along 35 there, where we're at 72 degrees, 71 officially in Austin at Camp Mabry, with much of the state in the 70s and 60s. Amarillo, though, as cool as the 50s. And look at how we think we'll be starting off tomorrow morning. 51 in Austin. That would be our coolest morning since April. But look at how many of us away from Austin start in the 40s. More of us will be in the 40s tomorrow morning than the 50s, but we will be warming through the day. Abundant sunshine, a light southeasterly breeze will help temperatures end up eventually above normal at 78. Normal for this time of year is 75. But tomorrow, while it will be a quiet and sunny day, we've got another storm brewing for the end of the week. It's brewing out west, and for right now, we're quiet as our cold front from last night moves east. But give us another day and a half, and then we'll start seeing the weather changing again. Going through your day tomorrow, clear skies, except for a little bit of patchy fog in the morning. Otherwise, it's almost cloud-free through the day. But then southeasterly winds start to pick up, drawing in more energy, more moisture into central Texas, and that'll show up in the form of not just clouds, but some spotty to scattered showers and even some thunderstorms on and off through the morning and into the afternoon. A better chance of storms coming the afternoon. Then a little bit of a break, and then we get into Friday, and a cold front starts to arrive in the hill country in the morning and marching eastward as we head from the late morning into the afternoon, eventually getting into the metro. So for tonight, we're clear and chilly, down to 51 in Austin, but widespread 40s and a little bit of fog in a few spots. And then showers and storms on Thursday and Friday. Highest coverage on Thursday, but there'll be those lingering storms that come with that cold front on Friday. I think most of us will be in for an additional quarter inch to an inch of rain, and there could be some localized spots in the hill country in the 1 to 2 inch range. There's also going to be a low 1 out of 5 severe weather threat in the hill country that we'll be watching out for as well. So decent rain Thursday and Friday, drying out as we head into the weekend and warming up as we head into early next week. Back in the 80s again. We'll be right back.